What is going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the VSPN Sports Podcast with your host, Jordan Van. So much to get into today. So much to unpack over the weekend between, UFC 254, Abu Dhabi, Gaethje versus Khabib, to the Week 7 NFL matchups. But I guess we'll start with the fight recap of UFC 254, Justin Gaethje versus Khabib. Can't say surprise. Khabib has been able to do this to all his opponents, and Justin Gaethje was no different. From start to finish, Khabib did what he always does, and that is just completely maul people. If there was one thing to point out that was kind of surprising was Khabib's striking. Last episode we talked about how when Khabib fought Al Quinta, he wasn't able to keep Al Quinta on the ground, and he kept getting back up, and it was forced to be a striking battle, and Khabib was able to dominate in the striking department in that fight. However, much like Al Quinta wasn't as good of a wrestler as, let's say, a Justin Gaethje, I don't know if anybody would even argue that Al Quinta has even close to the same striking, technique-wise or power-wise, as a Justin Gaethje. So for Khabib to outstrike Justin in the way that he did is kind of mind-blowing. Did not see that happening. So if we have to point out one thing that is surprising, I guess that's what sticks out to me. Although Justin did them leg kicks that he was landing was very serious. I do think if Khabib wasn't able to get him out in that second round via triangle choke, it could have gotten a little dicey, man. It could have gotten a little dicey. He was eating up Khabib's inside thigh, and you could tell it was hurting Khabib. He wasn't even checking him. A lot of the reason why he wasn't checking him was because apparently he had some injuries. I think he had a broken toe and maybe something else to his foot. So that could be a good reason on why Khabib wasn't checking those leg kicks, and they were doing damage. But yeah, Khabib, man, we all know how he typically approaches fights. He pressures you, he puts you up against the cage, he grabs a hold of you, and he just kind of wears on you until you accept the takedown. Once he gets you to the ground, he lands a few strikes, tries to soften you up, and then looks to finish you with a submission. But what was crazy about Khabib's approach in this one was not only his takedown pressure, but his ability to apply pressure in the striking. He was on Justin Gaethje's ass right from the get-go, taking everything Gaethje would throw at him and just continuing to press forward. Going into the fight, Gaethje even said it himself, he has to keep his back off the fence, and he can't get taken down. Well, he was not able to succeed in that game plan, even knowing that's what he has to do in order to have a chance of beating Khabib. But man, it's just it was very surprising to see how Khabib applied that pressure to Justin Gaethje like that, and ultimately was able to secure a takedown in that first round. Towards the end, looked to go for an arm bar, didn't have enough time to finish it. But as soon as I saw once he got Justin to the ground, the transitioning, how easily he was able to transition, I had a feeling that if Khabib was able to get him down again in that next round, that he was going to finish him pretty quickly when it got to the ground, and that is exactly what happened. Second round starts, and Khabib's able to get that takedown, and immediately went for the triangle choke, and it was flawless jiu-jitsu technique. just can't say enough kind words about his performance Saturday. I was almost going to say Saturday night, but for us it was Saturday afternoon. As some of you, a lot of people that I talked to didn't even realize the fights was happening that soon. Yeah, man. But great fight. Who's to argue now against Khabib as far as the GOAT conversation? You could argue GSP, but he's lost twice. Redeemed him, but he did lose twice. John Jones has never actually lost a fight. He had the disqualification loss to Matt Hamill because of an illegal elbow, but he was dominating that fight from start to finish, and I personally don't believe that should be counted as a loss. If anything, that should be a no contest. However, we do have to take this into consideration. He does have a little knock against him for failing drug tests. So it's a very interesting conversation to be had, because I feel like Khabib probably doesn't have the resume of a GSP or a John Jones, but he's dominated his fights more than what John Jones and GSP have. On the flip side, John Jones has the most impressive resume out of anybody. Again, he has the problems with USADA and failed drug tests and all that. So it's very interesting conversation to be had, and but I don't see how you can't at least make it a case for Khabib. He's had 29 fights, 29-0, has only arguably lost one round to Conor McGregor, and that's again debatable. Depending on how you decide to score your fights. But apparently the judges officially gave Conor one of those rounds against Khabib. So then after the fight, which really surprised me, was Khabib retiring. Did not see this coming, because we've heard all the talk. We've heard all the talk about he doesn't want to do this for too much longer. But the conversation was always 30-0. You've always heard 30-0. That was supposedly Khabib's father's plan for him. 30-0 and retire. But he went ahead and retired at 29-0. And you got to respect it. His mom asked him to go ahead and made this his last fight. It was supposed to be him and his father's little thing, for them to go 30-30. And without him, I guess it's just they just want him to retire now. I don't know what other way to say it. And you got to respect it. It's very impressive what Khabib has been able to do over the years. Unbelievable. And again, you have to consider him in the conversation for the greatest of all time. You just have to. Nobody has done what he has done from start to finish in his career. So with that being said, where do we go from here as far as the lightweight title? We do have Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier coming up in January. Does the UFC now make that fight for the belt? If you're a betting man, I would definitely place my money on that. Dana White's been looking for any excuse to wrap that belt around Conor McGregor's waist again. Just that's that's going to roll in some money if he's able to recapture that belt, and then hopefully this time, if he does happen to win, is able to actually defend it this time, and because that's what we need him to do in order to legitimize him being a champion. Because the two times he's won titles at 145 and at 155, he never defended the belt, not a single time. Ended up having to vacate. So a lot of people have questioned his legitimacy as being a champ. I don't really give him too much crap for it because he still did have to go and win those belts. So, but yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see if Dana makes that fight for a belt now. If I'm a betting man, that's what I would place my money on. So who do you like in that? They fought previously before, but that was what I think maybe I don't remember 2015, 14 maybe the last time they fought, and Conor was able to finish Poirier in the first round via knockout, but Dustin's a different fighter now, especially after moving up to 155. I think that weight cut was a little too harsh on him. I think he was having a little bit too hard of a time making that weight. So fighting at 155, he looks like a completely different fighter. So that fight could potentially be different this time around. And when the fight gets closer, we'll talk more about it, and we'll give a final prediction on that. But yeah, that's probably gonna be for the belt now, I would about imagine. So then where does that leave Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, and Michael Chandler? If I'm Dana White, which I'm not, and I will not argue anything that he does, because obviously he has proven himself to know what he's doing as a promoter and fight scheduler. But to me, what makes logical sense would be you do Conor versus Poirier for the belt, the vacant belt. You do either as the co-main or as the next pay-per-view after that, Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chandler. And then the winner of that fight would fight Conor or Poirier. And then, once Gaethje is able to recover, he probably gets the next crack at the winner of that fight. So the lightweight division has gotten really interesting. Not that it wasn't already interesting. It's by far the most stacked division in the UFC right now. But I didn't see anybody beating Khabib anyways. So with Khabib retiring, that opens up a lot of opportunities for other fighters. So that's gonna be this is gonna get really wild over this next year. I am very excited to see what takes place. And with Khabib retiring, I don't know how many people actually know this guy, but Islam Makhachev is another name in that lightweight division, who also comes out of AKA, trains with Khabib and DC and all those guys over there, and they're really high on him. They want him to be the next Khabib like figure for that division, and there's no indication on why that can't possibly happen. They're very high on him, so we'll see. That's just another name to kind of look out for in the future. We had some other fights though. We had Robert Whittaker taking on Jared Cannonier. This fight was pretty good as well. I told you guys, I must have forgot. Robert Whittaker's a bad motherfucking dude, bro. I understand Jared Cannonier had a lot of power. I understand he once fought at heavyweight and was knocking guys out there, and it translated over to the middleweight division. But Robert Whittaker is a bad motherfucker. Perfect mix of everything. He's very well rounded. He's very technical, fast, got some power, can wrestle. All the tools that you need in a mixed martial artist. So again, I think by the time the fight actually started, the betting odds was basically a pick'em. But going into that fight, I know I heard a lot about Cannonier should beat Whitaker, and I was just on the mindset like, y'all must have forgot Robert Whitaker is a bad dude. He was the champion for quite some time. His only loss has come via Stylebender, who again is arguably one of the best fighters in the entire UFC in UFC history. So I don't know. Again, I know Izzy was kind of like anointing Cannonier as his next opponent, just kind of brushing Whitaker off to the side, as if like he has no chance of beating Cannonier, and I just thought that was kind of crazy. That's just me. So what do you do now for the middleweight? What does Izzy do? Because Izzy wanted to do him versus Cannonier. Well, if Cannonier was to win, of course, and he didn't. So what do you do? Do you do Robert Whitaker again? It seems like Israel Adesanya is not super interested in that fight. But as far as rankings and just logical sense, that's the fight to make as far as in that division. Now, does Izzy want to take that John Jones fight now rather than later, like he was talking about in 2021? I mean, that's up for discussion. I personally think that's the biggest fight that the UFC could put on right now, would be Izzy versus John. Strike while the iron's hot. They've been going back and forth for God knows how long. There's just so much animosity between these two. I mean, you could charge $100 for this fucking pay-per-view, and I think people would pay for it. That's, to me, the fight to make. If you're telling me Adesanya is not interested in fighting Whitaker right now, because they just fought not too long ago and he destroyed him, then why not? Why not make it John Jones versus Adesanya? To me, that's the fight to make. That is the fight that, again, that's probably the biggest fight that the UFC can make right now. The other thing that's possible is maybe Adesanya jumps up to 205 and tries to go after that belt and try to be a double champ. Which I favor him over anybody in that 205 division. I don't think there's any way you could tell me Jan Blachowicz is going to beat Adesanya. Too slow. Too fucking slow. Not a chance that he can catch Adesanya. Not a chance. So that's going to be interesting to see what Adesanya decides to do. Does he go after John? Does he go after that 205 belt? Or does he rematch Whitaker? We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully we hear something soon from him. I'd about imagine he's a little off guard with this one because he expected Cannonier to go in there and take care of business with Whitaker, but that just didn't happen. So moving on, we had Volkov TKO over Walt Harris in the second round. Love Walt Harris, man, but it's hard not to love him because, again, with all the animosity he went through losing his daughter, you just find yourself rooting for this guy, but he clearly has an issue with his gas tank. Towards the end of that first round, you could see it in his face. He was gassed. He was completely gassed. He was looking up at the clock constantly. He was taking deep breaths. You could see it all over his face. He wanted to get out of there. And wasn't much longer into the second round before that took place. Volkov landed a kick to the liver, I believe, and dropped him and got on top of him, finished him. Volkov is another interesting thing, interesting player in that heavyweight division. That heavyweight division is not too stacked. I mean, you got a few names in there, but a few wins in that heavyweight division, and you could be an argument to fight for the belt. It's a little stagnant right now with with Stipe because he just came off that win over DC, and what makes sense is to do Stipe versus Ngannou, but it seems as if Stipe is not interested in that because they fought before, but. Dude, that was a different Francis. I guarantee you this time around, you see a completely different fight. A completely different fight. I think Ngannou was feeling himself a little too much going into that fight and didn't take Stipe serious enough, which is crazy because Stipe is a bad motherfucking dude. But this is a different Francis. And honestly, if I have to pick right now, I'm taking Francis Ngannou to beat Stipe Miocic this time around. And then you got Jones. It's like what does he do? I mean, you got the Izzy fight potentially with him. He wants to go to heavyweight and fight Stipe, but what makes more sense is Stipe versus Ngannou. So you got this big old confusion going on right now, and if you're Dana White, you're probably scratching your head on what do we do right now as far as those guys are concerned. But we as the fans, it's going to be interesting to watch all this unfold. We also had Philip Hawes making his debut versus Jacob Malkoun. If you remember, Jacob Malkoun was from Dana White's The Contender Series. And I want to say he won the Contender Series, but wasn't awarded a contract. Much differently than The Ultimate Fighter, just because you win doesn't mean that you are guaranteed a contract in the UFC. So he came in and he completely destroyed Philip Hawes, that is, completely destroyed Jacob Malkoun 18 seconds into the fight. I mean, as soon as the fight started, Malkoun, it's like, I hate to use the word scared, right? Because to make it to that level, the fighting in the UFC, you can't say scared. I mean, these guys risk so much going into that octagon. I don't know if you can, if it's fair to call them scared. However, in this particular fight, it's like he immediately retreated and put his back up against the fence, which it was odd. Like I've never seen a guy just be so accepting of backpedaling and getting put up against the fence fucking 10 seconds into the fight. That was just wild to me. So, but it was an impressive win for Philip Hawes with the KO. We'll see how he stacks up in that division, that middleweight division, which is also stacked. I think between the 145, 155, 185, those are your top divisions in the UFC right now. So we'll keep an eye out on him and see how he progresses through that weight class. We also had Lauren Murphy taking on Lilia Shakarova. Shakarova making her UFC debut. Murphy was originally scheduled to fight Cynthia Calvo, I believe, and Calvo had to pull out, so they insert Lilia Shakarova. Kind of unfair to her, I'd say. Lauren Murphy is a veteran of this sport, been around for a long time, and you have Lilia Shakarova making her debut against a veteran like that. But she looked like she belonged. She held her own up until that second round. Then Lauren Murphy clearly took over and was able to submit her on the ground via rear naked choke. That's actually Lauren Murphy's first submission win in the UFC. So congratulations to her. What's next for Lauren Murphy now? She's talking about getting a fight against Shevchenko. I don't know. I don't know if she's ready for Shevchenko. I don't think anybody is, unless your name is Amanda Nunes. I don't see anybody that's even in the same stratosphere as Shevchenko right now. So, I mean, maybe do Lauren Murphy versus Jessica Andrade. That would be an interesting fight, and then I guess winner of that could take on Shevchenko. But then you sideline Shevchenko even longer. So I don't know what you do if you're Dana White with Valentina Shevchenko right now, because she needs an opponent, but there's just really nobody who's made a great case and compelling argument to have you think that if they fight, it's going to be somewhat even kind of competitive. So we'll see. Kicking off that main card, we had Magomed Ankalaev versus Ivan Kutalibe. No controversy in this fight. Nope. The first fight they fought, Kutalibe claims that he was kind of playing possum on his feet, trying to bait Ankalaev to come in and catch him on the way in. And referee thought he was out on his feet, stopped it prematurely. So a lot of controversy. They tried to rematch this fight like 5 times. Finally, we get the fight, and finally we can close the book on this one because Magomed Ankalaev, man, he put it on him. They came out. Both guys came out swinging with absolute fucking power, and they both landed a bunch of good shots. But ultimately, Magomed Ankalaev was able to get the KO over Ivan Kutalibe in the first round. Magomed Ankalaev, that's another name to look out for in this light heavyweight division. I'm assuming going to jump into that top 10 ranking system, and it's not a big list. It's a very short list, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of run he can go on and maybe make a case to fight for the belt eventually. I mean, there was a lot of hype coming with him going into the last time Iwan and him fought. So now that he's closed the chapter on this, be interesting to see who they schedule him against next and what kind of run he can go on. We had on the prelims headlining that one, we had Stefan Struve versus Tai Tavas. The shoey. In case you guys don't know what a shoey is, where you pour beer into a shoe and you chug it. It's absolutely fucking disgusting, but hey, that's his thing. Tai Tavas TKO Stefan Struve first round. It is time for Stefan Struve to officially retire and don't come back. I think this is his 4th fight in a row that he's lost. Just absolutely got dismantled in that fight. It is definitely time for him to call it quits. It's over for him. What else are you fighting for? You have no chance of making a run for the belt. I don't imagine you're getting paid that well fighting in the prelims, and being that you're on now a 4-fight losing streak. Couldn't imagine you're making a lot of money, so I just don't think that the damage is worth the reward of continuing to come back and fight. So I really think it's time for Stefan Struve to retire, and it's sad because I do love Stefan Struve, but everybody has to retire eventually, and you rather do it sooner rather than later before you take too much unnecessary damage and cause health issues later on down the road. So that's it for UFC 254 in Abu Dhabi. Got to brag a little bit about myself. I got every single one of these picks correct. Every single one of them correct. So, yep. We have some upcoming fights this weekend. In a fight night, coming back to the States, we have Uriah Hall versus Anderson Silva. This is supposed to be Anderson Silva's final fight in the UFC. He only had 2 fights left on his contract, but ultimately he has decided that this will be his last fight. And I don't like the matchup. UFC did not do him any favors for a retirement fight. Uriah Hall is a bad motherfucker as well. He came off the Ultimate Fighter. Much like Anderson Silva and Adesanya and those guys, he has some very crazy striking ability. Very unorthodox. Very quick. A lot of kicks and stuff. I don't see any way Anderson Silva is gonna beat him in this fight. And it's sad because you would love to see Anderson Silva get a win before he retires, but I don't think he's beating Uriah Hall. So that's my prediction for that. Uriah Hall versus Anderson Silva. I predict Uriah Hall to win by decision. We also got Andre Philly versus Bryce Mitchell. I love Bryce Mitchell, man. After every fight, he gets on the mic and he always has something to say, like about Trump, or his little camouflage gear. And I think they finally did get him a camouflage kit. Love that dude. He's a fucking problem in that weight class. I see Bryce Mitchell taking that one. I'm gonna go third round submission. That's what I'm gonna predict. We also got Kevin Holland versus Makhmud Muradov. I don't know how to say that guy's last name. Sorry, but I'll take Kevin Holland in that one. Second round TKO. We also got Maurice Green versus Greg Hardy. It's always going to be entertaining when Greg Hardy's on the card. Coming from the NFL, transition to the UFC, had some controversy over in the NFL with some domestic violence issues and stuff. Seems to have, made amends with that and, is in a better situation now. So I used to not like the guy. Kind of had a change of heart recently over him, and he's impressed me so far. And they're doing him a lot of favors by not stacking him against somebody with a lot of experience. Let him build. He doesn't have a huge MMA background, so let him mature into the sport, and we'll see where it goes. He has absolute dynamite in his fists, so he's always got a punch or chance no matter who he's fighting. So I'm going to take Greg Hardy, though, first round knockout over Maurice Green. And last we've got Bobby Green versus Thiago Moses. I'm going to take Bobby Green via decision against Thiago Moses. And that's it for fighting, man. Again, we had a lot of good fights over the weekend. We got some good fights coming up this weekend. If you're a fight fan, there's so much to look forward to. Now we're going to transition into some football. Dude, I don't know if y'all watched last night's game. This is I'm recording this on Monday, by the way, so I'm looking to try to get this released today. But if not, today is Monday. Last night's game, Seahawks versus the Cardinals. I fucking told you guys this was going to be the game to look out for last week. You have just two absolute gunslingers in Kyler Murray and in Russell Wilson. And just two great offenses in general. Came down to the absolute wire. Goes into overtime. Fucking Seahawks get the ball first. They end up turning it over. Cardinals get the ball. All they need is a field goal to win. They ended up not being able to capitalize. Seahawks get the ball. Russ throws an interception. Cardinals get the ball back and eventually get the field goal to win. That was a hell of a game, and it was a hell of a game for fantasy football. If you had Kyler Murray or if you had Russell Wilson, I'm pretty sure you won your fantasy matchups this week. So congratulations to you. That what just an absolute great game. That's what the NFL wants, right? They much prefer having these just high flying offenses, high scoring games, not much defense. This is just what sells nowadays. It's more fancy. It's more sexy. This is what the NFL wants, and that's what we got last night. Hell of a fucking game. I did pretty good on my picks for this past week. 10-3 so far. Again, today's Monday, and we still have the Bears versus the Rams tonight, and I did pick the Rams, so we'll see how that plays out. But overall, I did pretty fucking well on my picks. Not to brag again, but yeah, that's interesting. So I did good on my picks for the fights and for this week's games. In other news, we do have something that we needed to get to as far as Antonio Brown is concerned. Tampa went ahead and decided to sign him. This came as a surprise to me for a bunch of reasons, actually. First reason is because I just was under the mindset that if Antonio Brown couldn't make it in New England, that was it. That was going to be the end of the line. That I didn't think any other team would take another chance on him if New England wasn't able to turn around his behavior. But I was wrong. The Bucks decided to sign him. The other reason this signing was surprising was because Bruce Arians himself came out a while back and said that Antonio Brown wasn't a good fit for this team. Now he's backtracking and saying, because of injuries and this and that, and now he's a fit. I don't know. I think Mr. 12, Tom Brady, GOAT, marched into that office and said, hey, we need to sign this guy. And I think they listened, and that's exactly what they did. They went on and signed him. So now you got just 3 absolute stud wide receivers for Brady to throw the ball to. I mean, my God, how many fucking weapons does he need? Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and now Antonio Brown. If Antonio Brown is half of what he was with the Steelers, this offense is ridiculous. And it seems as though Brady isn't slowing down. I thought for sure this year he would kind of fall off, being that he just didn't look the same last year, but he just seems to just continue to keep pushing the marker back. So now he's not able to play, I think, until he has like an 8-game suspension. And I know for sure what it does is it lines him up to make a debut against my motherfucking Saints. So I do not like our odds in that matchup. Although we were able to get them week 1, I don't think we'll get them that time around. It's just too much. There's too much firepower. Assuming there's no injuries to Tampa, that's just too much firepower. They're definitely trying to go and get him another ring. And why not? I mean, why not? You've been this losing franchise for so long. Then you're able to draw the greatest of all time to come to your organization. Why not go all out and try to supply him with whatever he needs in order to make a run for the Super Bowl? With Brown signing with them, that you got to take them probably as a Super Bowl favorite. Not a Super Bowl favorite, but the favorite to come out of the NFC, I believe. But I will say this, and I shouldn't say this because I said this last year, but I'm going to say it again. I just don't know how many more opportunities Antonio Brown is going to get. This has to be his last chance over here in Tampa. If it doesn't work out here, I don't know how many other teams are going to take a chance on him, unless you got somebody desperate like the fucking Jets or something. But I just don't. I think this is it. So if you're Antonio Brown, you got to know that, hey, this is probably my last opportunity to show that I've matured and I've changed and I could be of an assistance to a team trying to contend for a Super Bowl. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll go ahead and get into this week's picks. We have the Panthers versus the Falcons. Falcons always find a way to lose, so I'm going to take the Panthers. We have the Packers versus the Vikings. The Vikings are absolute poo-poo, so I'm going to take the Packers. Aaron Rodgers finds a way to get it done. We also have the Titans versus the Bengals. As much as I love my boy Joe, and real quick, I fucked up last week. I don't know why, but for some reason I could have swore that the Bengals beat the Browns the first time. It was a really close game, but I was wrong. The Browns did win 35-30. Joe did have a hell of a game, but I forgot his defense let him down, much like they did last week. How does this guy throw for 400 fucking yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and find a way to lose? Oh, I don't understand. I don't understand. You got to go get this boy some help. So I'm going to take the Titans because I just don't think the Bengals are even ready to compete right now. Their offense has a lot of firepower, but that defense is atrocious. We have the Jets versus the Chiefs. No point even breaking this one down. I'm taking the Chiefs. We have the Steelers versus the Ravens. I do like the Steelers to take this division overall, and I like the Steelers and the Chiefs as the two to probably make it to the AFC Championship to see who gets to go to the Super Bowl. However, I think the Steelers are due for a loss. It's a division matchup. These teams know each other so well. I just think the Ravens are going to find a way to steal one from the Steelers. So I'm going to go ahead and take Baltimore in that one. We also have the Rams versus the Dolphins. I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams in that one. We have the Patriots versus the Bills. The Patriots, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Again, Belichick is not making a great case for himself as far as him not needing Brady. I know that team is not good just overall, and there's only so much that he's able to do with that lineup, but it's still got to count for something. Again, you do have Cam Newton. I don't understand how this team isn't playing much better. To me, that's on him. Ultimately, that's gonna fall on him, regardless if it's fair or not. But I am going to take the Bills. The Bills have been very impressive this year. Josh Allen has been ridiculous, especially in fantasy. I don't have him in fantasy, but he has torched me. Seems like I play that motherfucker in every fucking league every week. I don't know why. Then we got the Raiders versus the Browns. Very impressed with the Raiders so far. The Browns have been pretty impressive as well. But no OBJ now. Looks like he's going to be out for the season with a torn ACL, from what I read. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Raiders in that one. We have the Saints versus the Bears. Bears have been very impressive, and they've been finding a way to win. But I'm assuming Michael Thomas plays this week. Doesn't punch a teammate, and doesn't have any kind of injury going into this one. Hopefully, because I don't see how we can find a way to win without him again against that Bears defense. And I'm not sure about the status of what's his name? Emmanuel Sanders. I'm not sure on his status, so I don't know if he's going to play this week. I don't like our chances if we don't have both of them. So If we don't have both of them, I favor the Bears, but assuming that we have both of them going into that game, I'm going to take us to win that one. Then we got the 49ers versus the Seahawks, another division matchup. Seahawks coming off that loss last night. I think they bounced back and found a way to win against a 49ers defense that's been struggling this year. And they've been having injuries, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Seahawks on that one because in Russ, I trust. Then we have the motherfucking Cowboys versus the Eagles. The Cowboys are done, dude. They are done. Man. I don't even want to spend a lot of time on them, honestly, because I just don't feel like they deserve any kind of attention from me, besides just hysterical laughing at them because they are terrible. You gotta think that Mike McCarthy, he might be a little early, but I don't know, man. He might be on the hot seat. It's not looking good. There's too much talent on that team for you to be losing in the fashions that you've been losing. So I don't know what their plan is for that. We'll see. I am going to take the Eagles to win that. It looks like the Eagles have kind of got a little bit of a resurgence. So I'm going to take the Eagles to beat those Pittsburgh Cowboys. Fuck you, Dallas. Bucks versus the Giants. I find it very hard for me to pick the Giants. They're just a bad team. The Bucks seem to have figured it out. Brady's on a roll. I'm going to take the Buccaneers to win that one pretty easily. We got the Colts versus the Lions. I like the Colts in that one. That defense is so fucking good. They're able to run the ball pretty well. Last game the Colts played, Phillip Rivers looked a lot better. So we'll see. It looks like he might be picking things up with his newfound team. So we'll see. His former team, the Chargers versus the Broncos. I am going to take the Chargers to take that one. Justin Herbert has been so impressive lately. Cannot wait to see what he does this week against the Broncos defense that is supposed to be pretty good, but they've had times where they've been a little suspect as well. And again, Justin Herbert just looks amazing so far. Have him in a league or two, and he definitely helped me win this week for sure. And that's it for all the Week 8 games. So, man, just a whole lot of shit, man. Lot to unpack there, but we got through it. Again, we had a great weekend of fights. We had a great weekend of football, and we have some more upcoming fights that's going to be interesting to watch, and some more interesting NFL games. But I think that's it for today, guys. Again, I thank every one of you who tuned in to listen. The first episode got a pretty good response, I would say. So thank you guys for all your support. We're just going to keep doing this thing and hopefully make it grow. I do, again, plan to improve certain things, and the more comfortable I get with this, the more enjoyable I'd about imagine it'll be for you guys. So I will continue to work in order to provide you guys with the entertainment that you so deserve. But thank you for tuning in. If you like what you've seen, hit that like button and subscribe, share, comment. Give me some feedback, guys. I want to hear from you, the fans and listeners, and let me know what you think I can do to improve. Same goes if you didn't like it. Let me know why you didn't like it, and tell me what I could do to improve this experience for you. Also, if you do like the video, also hit that bell on the top of the video, not the bottom. I fucked that up last week as well. Sorry, nerves was getting to me. But that's it, man. Great weekend coming up of fights. Great weekend of football games coming up. Just stick around, enjoy it, and we'll be back probably. I would imagine Monday. I will try to record another episode, and that's it, man. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a good week, and I'm out.